What if the secret to doing more, achieving more, and earning more isn't about adding, but about strategically subtracting? In a world where every brand screams for attention, the most valuable commodity is not capital or technology, it's focus. We mistakenly equate abundance with freedom and scarcity with limitation, but the opposite is often true. True freedom is the result of intentional constraint. Scarcity is how clarity is manufactured. This episode examines why limiting inputs, options, and even resources is the strategic shortcut to innovation and execution. Doing less, on purpose, is how elite performers and organizations deliver more impact with fewer errors. Modern entrepreneurship suffers from a disease called option addiction. Technology promises infinite tools, but infinite tools produce decision paralysis. Every yes consumes 3 resources you can never reclaim: time, attention, and energy. These are finite. Treating them as infinite is why most leaders live in permanent reactivity. The brain thrives in constraint. When options narrow, patterns sharpen, and creativity accelerates. Abundance creates noise. Scarcity creates music. True leverage comes not from doing everything possible, but from deciding what is necessary and choreographing everything else around it. History proves that scarcity is not a barrier to innovation. It's the birthplace of it. From startups built in garages to artists painting with limited palettes, constraint forces ingenuity. Consider the Apollo 13 mission. When an oxygen tank exploded, engineers on Earth had to design a solution with whatever materials the astronauts already had on board. They did, and brought them home alive. That's innovation under constraint. Problem solving inside the box, until the box itself becomes creative. In business, scarcity compresses focus. When you have 5 people and 6 months of runway, you eliminate everything that doesn't matter. That clarity, multiplied over time, is why small teams often outperform larger, better-funded competitors. Simplicity is not minimalism for aesthetics' sake. It's engineering efficiency. Every element you add to a system creates a new failure point. Deletion is design. Steve Jobs once said, "Deciding what not to do is as important as deciding what to do." The same applies to strategic growth. You scale faster by removing friction and noise than by adding complexity. Conduct a subtraction audit. 1. List your current initiatives, tools, and meetings. 2. Ask, if we stop this tomorrow, what breaks? 3. If the answer is nothing important, delete it. Every removal returns capacity for what counts. If you're finding these insights valuable for building your million-maker mindset, consider subscribing to the channel to ensure you don't miss future episodes and strategies. Economists quantify returns with ROI, return on investment. Leaders should measure ROF, return on focus. When you undivide attention, you harness compound productivity. Studies show task switching can decrease efficiency by 40%. Focus eliminates that drag. In a 12-hour work window, 4 hours of undistracted flow outperforms 12 hours of fragmented busyness. That's focus arbitrage, earning more output per unit of energy than competitors running on chaos mode. Treat focus like currency. Invest it where return is measurable, and protect it through policy, not willpower. You've heard of the 80-20 rule. 20% of effort produces 80% of results. But the game changer is its second order. Apply 80-20 to the 20 itself, and you discover the 4% rule. Roughly 4% of your actions drive 64% of impact. Identify those core inputs. They are your scarcity advantages. High-leverage operators know where that 4% lives and build processes around it. Everything else is support, not strategy. Scarcity focuses attention where leverage is maximal. The difference between growth and grind. Architects, pilots, and software developers all respect constraints. Founders often run from them. Reverse that. Design 4 deliberate constraints into your model. 1. Time constraint. Short deadlines force prioritization. Set sprints that prohibit perfectionism. 2. Resource constraint. Cap budget to provoke creativity and execution. Necessity breeds optimization. 3. Choice constraint. Limit project count. 1 focus per quarter equals 4 breakthroughs a year. 4. Process constraint. Define maximum approval layers to accelerate decisions. Constraints act as guardrails. They channel effort into momentum instead of diffusion. Customers value what's rare. Scarcity is psychological as much as operational. When access is limited, perceived value increases because choice implies significance. Apple uses intentional product release gaps to create anticipation. Luxury brands restrict supply to elevate status. Service firms limit client rosters to preserve attention per account. Artificial scarcity is manipulation. Strategic scarcity is mechanism. The difference is integrity. You limit to serve better, not to confuse. A waitlist built on quality control becomes a marketing moat. A waitlist built on ego expires quickly. Decision scarcity prevents fatigue. High performers standardize low-value choices. Uniform wardrobes, fixed meeting times, templated menus. Each avoided decision rescues mental bandwidth for strategic judgment. Use the constraint stack. Morning equals creativity work only. Afternoon equals collaboration and execution. Evening equals learning, review, or rest. When you design constraints around time, you build a predictable engine of output. Discipline replaces debate. Scarcity also applies to people. Teams grow until communication cost erases productivity. The optimal team size for fast innovation is often 5 to 7 people. The 2-pizza rule popularized by Amazon. Tight teams share context and ownership. Large teams share meetings and miscommunication. Before hiring, ask, can we automate, delegate, or eliminate instead of adding headcount? Otherwise, you compound complexity instead of output. Operating small by design is not a constraint. It's an advantage. You invest resources in quality over quantity. Scarcity is attitude, not circumstance. Cultivate it even when resources abound. Teach teams that budget discipline and focus exist to preserve freedom later. Inside wealthy companies, scarcity mindset protects against entitlement. Inside young companies, it protects against panic. Both produce resilience. Use mantras like, resources follow results. We spend on systems, not symptoms. Every yes requires a trade-off. When every decision faces cost-benefit truth, you have a culture of measured ambition. That's sustainable growth. Constraint is healthy until it turns into fear. Some leaders cling to frugality so tight, they suffocate potential. Knowing when to expand is as strategic as knowing when to limit. Use the capacity curve. Phase 1. Scarcity fuels creativity. Phase 2. Output rises until constraints now block scale. Phase 3. You add targeted capacity, funding, talent, tools, without breaking focus. Healthy constraint ends where stagnation begins. Balance minimalism with momentum. Scarcity isn't a punishment. It's precision. It removes the unnecessary so the essential can multiply. The leaders who win the next decade won't be those who own the most assets, but those who control the least variables. They'll run lean systems with tight focus and limitless execution confidence. So ask yourself today, what would break if I stopped doing half of what I call important? What would improve if I simplified to the core that actually prints results? Scarcity is not about less. It's about more of what matters. When you design for less, you engineer focus into profit. That is the scarcity advantage. If you found this episode valuable, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more strategic insights. And to continue building your million maker mindset, stay right here for our next recommended video.